Biden cannot be U.S. president. That is a conclusion I've come to from a debating analysis of the debate that happened between Trump and Biden last week. What's the reason for that? It's pretty simple. Debating tests spontaneous thinking. Spontaneous thinking is relevant to just-in-time decision-making. And just-in-time decision-making is necessary when a U.S. president has their hand on the nuclear button. One can't freeze instead of thinking clearly if one has to make a decision about nuclear weapons. Therefore, Biden cannot be president. That's my conclusion, that's my logic. But in rebuttal to that conclusion, the Democratic administration, along with some leading Democrats, have been basically gaslighting us as a rebuttal to the conclusion I just made. And I'd like to review 4 of those rebuttals that they've been presenting and take a look at the logic and if they make sense. The first rebuttal is a slow start argument given by Kamala Harris. So her logic was, yeah, he had a slow start, but that's okay. The problem with that is she's not getting the essence of the issue. The essence is decision-making power under the clutch. And debating tests your thinking on your feet skills, which is essentially related to spontaneous decision-making skills. So let's take an example. Kim Jong-il is the head of North Korea, a despotic regime with nuclear weapons. Let's just say that Kim Jong-il feels that his regime is under threat, his life is under threat, and he decides to take the whole world down with him. So he shoots a ICBM long-range nuclear-tipped missile at Los Angeles. Now, scientists tell us that it would take 38 minutes for such a missile to go from Pyongyang in North Korea to Los Angeles in the U.S. So the president of the U.S. in such a situation would have 38 minutes to decide what to do. Now, if they froze instead of being able to think on their feet, that would present a potentially existential dilemma for the U.S. and possibly the world. So the slow start argument doesn't really hold water. What's another rebuttal that we've heard? We've heard one from Karine Jean-Pierre. And the logic of the rebuttal is, hey, it was 90 minutes. He has a 3.5-year record. So 90 minutes is less than 3.5 years. It doesn't mean anything. But what that misses is the essence of what a debate is. As I just mentioned, debating is related to decision making. And a legislative record is a team activity. And it might involve thinking, but it doesn't necessarily involve thinking on one's feet or spontaneous thinking under pressure, whereas a debate does. So the argument that we should be looking at the long record really misses the point. Third, fact-checking. I've heard a lot of people say as a rebuttal the idea that there's a common perception that Trump lies all the time. As I mentioned in video 9, whether people perceive it's a lie or some people perceive there's a kernel of truth surrounded by and wrapped around exaggeration, that's a matter of perspective. But certainly some people think Trump lies, and so the question is, with such a liar, constant lies, we need a fact checker in real time. The problem with that argument is that that's not a debate. If the CNN moderators would have constantly fact-checked Trump, it would become a press conference. and the fluidity of the debate would disappear. In fact, it's the job of the opponent to fact check their opponent. So if one argues that the CNN moderator should have been fact checking, then one is really saying that Biden needs somebody to carry his water, that the moderators should have held Biden out by fact checking Trump. And that makes no sense. One, it suggests Biden is weak. Two, it compromises the impartiality of the moderators. Then finally, the jet lag argument. So I've recently been hearing Biden say, well, I travel all over the world, I was jet lagged, I was sleepy, I couldn't remember facts. Well, that particular piece of gaslighting is not very persuasive because it misunderstands what a debate is about. Debate is really not about facts. You might use facts to convey a message, but it's really about debating, it's really about telling a story where you use facts to make a point. Ronald Reagan used to do this very well. He would tell an anecdote with a live person story, connecting the data points and creating a compelling narrative, which in turn connected to their philosophy of governing. Now, the reality is that the President of the United States is arguably the best informed person in the world. Every day they get briefings by the CIA, the FBI, by military intelligence. So it's a little hard to understand why one would need a week of cramming in Camp David, like a school boy cramming for his final exams, when in fact debating is about thinking clearly. It probably would have served him better to get a massage and a good night's sleep rather than cram so much. So the idea that jet lag accounted for his performance again misses the point, which is it wasn't about remembering facts, it was about thinking on their feet. So I've given 3 examples of rebuttals which, in my opinion, are gaslighting. 1, it was a slow start. 2, it was only 90 minutes. 3, it was just fact-checking, or there should have been fact-checking. And 4, the problem was the jet lag. I don't find those persuasive. I've given you my response to those rebuttals, but what do you think? Do you buy the rebuttals, or do you buy my conclusion that Biden cannot be president because the debate revealed he can't make decisions, arguably, under pressure?